When the dog sits down, this point will actually come down, and they actually rest on this point. So the foot will go into a situation where you actually have this coming down and it rests. And you'll probably see this in your own pet if you start studying your own cat or your dog. And you'll see that that heel will come down and rest, and the knee will actually start to kind of come in like this, and the butt will come down and start to rest on the heel, and then you have the paw like that. And I think that's a shape that you've kind of seen, and something that we're going to be doing later when we get into rabbits and cats and so forth in the sitting down position. But it's also because in the vertical position when they're standing, you're getting a stretch. So you're getting this, which is something that we're going to be talking about a lot. We're basically talking about squash and stretch. You're getting a stretch where everything is pulling. When you get the squash, when you're getting that thing where everything is sort of compressing, you get a compression of the volume, of the exact mass. So you're dealing with squash and stretch. Here's the squashing element, here's the stretch. But you still have to have the volume of the mass in there to create a believable sense of what is the impression you're trying to give to the audience. Because after all, these are lines, these are drawings, it's not like real photographic animals. So you have to maintain believability by understanding what is actually in here, and when it does change shape, how is that going to affect other things? If this is going to come down, well, this is going to push down here, create more mass. And so that's how you start to look at it. Again, I'm going to now imagine, well, here's the butt. I'm going to pull it down here. I'm looking kind of through it, going down into the rib cage. I'm going to create this heel here because tendency is that actually animals more walk on their toes. And this is something that's really kind of interesting. And the heel here is actually the thing that you see. This part here is really what you see, that little kind of worn out thing, because as they run, they'll hit this bottom of the thing. And I've actually seen on horse runs where even a horse, which is a really strong muscular character, on a real strong gait, there's actually been photographic evidence of the heel actually touching the ground. Well, dogs do this too. So you'll have this little sort of calloused area that goes down to the toes, and then that's what you have this here. In a close-up, on a cartoon level, you'd sort of have something like this, where you'd have the callus going down here, and then these toes would come out like this, and then you might have little nails coming out or something like that, but you can see that that becomes now more like the actual structure of what a dog would look like. And again, I'm not picking a furry dog because I want to show actually what's going underneath. When you start, we'll go into how you translate that when you get into more fur on the outside, because then that changes everything. So again, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to pull out this knee just like I did on this side here. I'm going to take the heel back over here. I'm going to, knowing that I'm dealing with a bit of a perspective, I'm going to kind of rough in very casually this. And the reason I do this is because they are very much fingers. It's just that there's more mass on the bottom of the pad that isn't down here that actually is, than we do. We don't have that. But there is that, that commonality that we have in how, we're created. So now I'm just going to pull this tail off because I think it's kind of cute. So let's give him a nice sort of fun, sort of a tail. And I'm going to kind of make it a little scraggly like this. And now I've got basically the elements of the structure of the dog. I'm going to go back up in here into the neck, because now I'm going to get into where I'm going to rough in the nose. I'm going to try to create the muzzle, because again, the muzzle has a tendency to also be on the head. The muzzle would be also more vertical in the sense that you'd have more of a shape like this in the mouth and the nose, and how this would work. Then you would have a wide face like we do. So I'll just put in a simple, kind of on the front shot here, an eyes. And again, this is a cartoon character, so you're implying sort of, humanistic tendencies. But I mean, who of us who don't have pets don't humanize their pets and sit there and say, oh, he's saying this, or, you talk about, he feels sad or whatever. And certainly we give our pets that sense. Again, here, this would be the front side. On the 3/4 side, I'm going to sit here and give, this aspect of it so that I can, pull the big nose down here and then try to, pull this over here like this. This is, again, very, very rough. And then I'm going to start to pull the chin in here like this. I haven't more space here to do the ears, but you get the idea. And again, I'll pull it like that. So now we have sort of what I would call sort of a, just sort of a runt dog who's a mixture of anything, but just basically has the principles to it.